I really think that we could just, broaden the conversations that we have about queer people in hockey and let those people have the floor, and just instead of just having, the cis heterosexual people on the teams be like, we support it. And that's kind of really all you see. My name is Mick. I'm 26. I currently in a hockey kind of class program right now out in California. Um, and that's just kind of what I'm doing right now.
So you're in a hockey class program. Can you elaborate? Is that allowed?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm in a an adult learn to play program out here in Sacramento.
Very cool. I love that. How did Mick get into hockey?
I think it was like the beginning of the 2019-2020 season. I had a friend of mine who was, I had nothing to do. And she's like, well, hockey season's about to start, here's a couple teams that I watch if you want to, watch along with me. It's like, okay, sure. And she's a big Maple Leafs fan. And so she's like, this game is happening. And so I watched a couple of games and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I really, really enjoy this. And, just kind of kept watching from there, kind of, gathered the teams that that I liked, and I have been watching ever since. And then this past, I want to say like March or April, there was a local rink out here in California that was doing a like free, learn to play class kind of like demonstration. And I was like, well, I might as well try it. If I don't like it, then, oh well, I lost an hour, and it turned out to be really, really exciting and really fun. And so now I'm in my like third month of learning to play, and it's been an incredible ride so far. Really enjoying it.
That's awesome. We need more queer representation in the sport. So I'm excited that you're playing.
Yeah.
What do you love about hockey?
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, to be fully honest, like this was like the first sport I ever really kind of really watched. I grew up with my family watching like football, and I was like, I don't really understand what's going on, but all right. um, and hockey just seemed really exciting because it's such, it's so fast paced, and you kind of have to be, especially like when you're playing, you have to be, kind of be firing on all cylinders, really working your brain. And it's, I don't know, it's just a really exciting sport, both to watch and to play, because it's a great exercise. Like you are, nonstop. But I think it's a really fun sport to play, but also like once you kind of, come with like you like come together with like a team or a class that you're a part of, you're with each other, constantly. The bond that you create with, your hockey family. Um, it's kind of like a really strong like group bond that I've never really experienced before. And that's kind of like one of the other, reasons that it's such a fun thing, because everyone's, got your back, and everyone wants you to succeed. Um, and it's a great, environment to be a part of.
So I have to ask before I move on to my next question. When your football watching family saw you decide you were taking up ice hockey, were they like in California? Were they like, what is happening?
Well, sort of. When I spoke with my dad about last year before I got into playing hockey, I was talking to him about, the season was just about to start. And I was like, yeah, I'm really excited because, the upcoming season is about to start. And, I have really good hopes about my teams and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, that seems like such, a dangerous sport. People are always getting into fights and, running into things. I'm like, football's not any better. I mean, there's always a chance of getting hurt. But he was kind of a bit confused on why I like to watch hockey. But my mom was just kind of like, I mean, okay, if if you like it, sure, why not? So
That's funny. It's cool. Based off your intersection of identity and who you are as a person, how could hockey be better for you? But also, how could it be better for the queer community?
um I mean, so I'm kind of like I'm in a subdivision of Sacramento. The rink is in sort of like in a, subdivision of Sacramento, and which is not necessarily a welcoming, inclusive uh part of town. And that was kind of a big worry for me. Going into this class, I'm like, I don't know, what the rink, like the people that are already there, like what their kind of, stance on things are. And, I was really lucky to find a couple, other queer hockey players at the rink and kind of, latched on and kind of created a really tight knit bond with them. Um, and luckily I haven't really faced any, negativity in my rink per se. But and it seems like things are sort of getting a little bit better in the hockey community. You see much less of like, using, slurs and chirps and sort of things like that, which I think is a great, step forward. But I really do think that, there's always, improvements to be made because hockey is such, a cis, straight, white, male dominated sport. And I think, that kind of makes queer people a little bit nervous to, kind of express themselves outwardly. Um, and I think, you know, I think people just really need to open up to conversations within, within the teams, within the locker rooms, within, the entire community, both, in professional and non-professional hockey to, kind of figure out like how instead of, just doing a little bit of a, a pride night, once a season where it's like, okay, we'll put some tape on and auction it off, but not really speak up much else about it. Um, I really think that we could just, broaden the conversations that we have about queer people in hockey and let those people have the floor and just instead of just having, the cis heterosexual people on the teams be like, we support it. And that's kind of really all you see, you know.
Yeah, and it's feels at times somewhat performative when it's only said once a year, and it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
on a night where they're selling things with rainbows on it.
Yeah.
Um, in knowing all that and where hockey's at, what keeps you in it?
Like I said, I've been really fortunate to be surrounded by accepting people at my rink. There are, a few, odd people out that aren't necessarily extremely accepting. They're kind of tolerating. Um, but you know, I was really lucky to find a really great group of people in the class that I happened to join that are, just really supportive of me being, very out with who I am because I that's kind of who I am as a person. I'm very much an open book with my identity. And I've having those people that, have my back, whether or not something, may happen with other people trying to, kind of put other queer people down. Um, that's been a really big part of it. Just having that kind of little bit of a support community within my rink.
I love that because it's so critical, and it feels in all the interviews that finding those little niche pockets of community is so critical. And I think the hockey world, if they recognize the need to become more inclusive, and that, those pride nights and stuff are lovely gestures, but they're not shifting the needle. They're not moving the needle. They're not shifting the culture.
Right.
I think people would maybe hopefully do more. I still hold out hope.
Yeah.
Um, and with that said, what gives you hope for queer people in the sport?
Um, I think, we haven't seen a lot of people within the professional hockey leagues, kind of come out. Not saying that, they have to by any means, but um, I think, just having more, you know, oh gosh, just having more, people that are, really strong and active in their activism, uh, which is really important because you have a lot of great people that are, kind of starting to, push that movement forward because you have, great athletes like Harrison Brown, you have Curtis Gabriel, who's been a great ally for, for a lot of people. Um, but I think, it's now kind of starting to just kind of rest on those specific people's shoulders. And I think that, we need to expand on opening other people, other players, staffs, coaches, open everyone's, kind of minds, I guess, to being like, just because, people are queer doesn't mean that they're, any less, good of a player in any sort of means. Um, and just, like I said earlier, just really opening themselves to the conversation and, really listening instead of just being, you know, we support you for one night sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Um, Not that I can think of right now, honestly.
Well, you touched on a lot, so I mean, it's good, and I want to thank you for taking part. Thank you for joining the hockey world and the hockey community, and I hope those lessons are going well, and you're
Yeah.
seeing growth in your game, and you're having fun with it. And even when you get back to New York, hopefully you join the queer league there and have a blast with it.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some outreach and trying to find some, kind of lower division teams to see if I can get my foot in the door before before the season starts. But we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you, Mick.
All right, thank you so much.